Hi guys, welcome back to Classic Guitar Rock. This is Jeremy with one more update for today. It's a busy news day, and ripped from the headlines is this interesting little story about Eddie Van Halen. I had never heard of this. Apparently, this has kind of been out there for a while, but I'd never heard it. I actually, just to give them credit, I came across this item at the Ultimate Classic Rock site. But apparently, Eddie Van Halen held a gun to the head of Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit back in the mid 2000s. Um, and that's kind of scary. So let's talk about that for a minute. So, way back, looks like from about 2004 to 2007, there was this photographer, filmmaker named Andrew Bennett who got to spend quite a bit of time with the band filming them, apparently for a documentary. And when he was done with the documentary, there were some legal problems. The band didn't like it. Probably has never been released or will be released. But this Andrew Bennett guy has recently released a book. And the title of the book is Eruption in the Canyon, 212 Days and Nights with the Genius of Eddie Van Halen. Again, this is from 2004, 2007. Well, this incident in question, apparently Wes Borland, is that his name? Wes Borland, the guitarist from Limp Bizkit, had just left. And Eddie and Fred were at the same party, and someone introduced them, and someone suggested, hey, you guys ought to get together and do something. And Fred Durst kind of joked and said, yeah, that'd be funny. The greatest guitar player in the world playing with the worst band in the world. Ha ha ha, everyone laughed. And then Eddie said, well, why not? Let's do it. So they get together, recently after that to jam. And apparently it was going okay, but then Fred and a lot of the other people there started pulling out the pot and smoking pot. And apparently Eddie does not like the reefer, and I was not aware of that. But he did not like it, and he left. He did not speak highly of the whole of it. In fact, later he was quoted as saying, I felt like a scholar among kindergartners, whatever that means. But he didn't like all the pot smoking, so he left. Left all of his amps, guitars, all of his equipment. It's all there. And so the next day he calls Fred back to leave a message or whatever about coming to get all his stuff. And he never heard back from Fred. And this made Eddie mad. And Eddie owns this illegal Army surplus assault vehicle. I think this is great. And so this vehicle has like a machine gun mounted. I mean, it's completely illegal. And Eddie hops in that thing, drives across Hollywood to Fred's house, bangs on the door, and pulls out a gun and points it right at Fred when he opens the door and says, I need my stuff, MFer. And Fred's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so he calls all of his people, hey, let's get Eddie his stuff. Let's get Eddie his stuff. And so Eddie's standing out there in the, middle of Beverly Hills in this fancy house, in the lawn of this fancy house, smoking a cigarette, pointing a gun at Fred Durst. Well, I shouldn't laugh, but it is kind of comical. While all of his people are hauling amps and guitars and equipment into Eddie's assault vehicle, right? So that was probably awkward, probably kind of an awkward end to that relationship. But this is funny on the one hand and very sad on the other hand, to see that, because I was still am, huge Eddie Van Halen fan. Now the good news is, at least recently over the last couple years, I've seen a few interviews with Eddie, and he's had some health issues. He's apparently undergoing cancer treatment in Europe. Remember, he had to have part of his tongue removed, and he still is struggling with throat cancer or mouth cancer. So, hopefully that works out and he's able to make a full recovery. But he seems to be in a good place right now. He looks good, he sounds good. But this time frame of this story, 2004 to 2007, I saw that tour in 2004. with Sammy. They got together and did that one tour. I've seen Van Halen 3 times. I saw them with Dave on Diver Down. I saw them on the Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour with Sammy, and then I saw them in this 2004 tour. And it's almost like I've erased that 2004 show from my mind because it was really bad. Sammy was fine, Mike was fine, Alex was fine. Eddie was a mess. Eddie looked like crap, super skinny, looked really unhealthy. He wore kind of some grubby cargo shorts and a pair of tennis shoes. No socks, just tennis shoes, pair of shorts, no shirt. His hair's kind of all pulled back in like a ponytail, and apparently that whole tour was a nightmare. Eddie was drunk the whole time, wouldn't clip his toenails, wouldn't shower, and was just out of it much of the tour, which is sad. And I can remember kind of the low point was when Eddie did his little guitar solo. It was bad. I mean, it was just noise, a lot of feedback. Most of the solo, he just laid on his back and let his guitar feedback, and he'd make noise. And then when he was done, he came up and said something that was, I'm not sure what he said. I mean, I think he said something about thank you so much, and he said talked for a minute, not a minute, probably 20 seconds or so, but couldn't understand what he was saying. And it was something was not right. Something was not right. And then after the fact, you heard all the stories about how he was out of it for that tour, and when the tour was over, that was it. So that was sad. But when I think about that and put it together with this story with Fred Durst, I mean, I think it's safe to say Eddie was not going through a good time. He was not in a good frame of mind at that time. Yeah, it's just kind of funny on the one hand, but kind of sad on the other hand. And the good news is, like I said, Eddie seems to be doing better now, in a better space right now. But like I said, Van Halen, one of my favorite bands. I think Eddie Van Halen is, if not the greatest, one of the top 3 greatest guitar players. I mean, he is such an innovator and brought so much to the world of guitar playing and rock music. You can never take that away from him. Thanks for watching, guys. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Post your comments. Let me know what you think. And have a great weekend. And we'll see you. Bye-bye.